Today's video is about something that I have been experiencing my entire life, but it's something I've never really talked about, except maybe with my parents, of course my wife, and I don't know, maybe some other close friends I've had before. But today's video is called Confessions of a Hypochondriac. A hypochondriac is someone that believes something is wrong with them most of the time, at least physically. And maybe not that they believe something is wrong with them most of the time, but someone that generally is hyper aware of what their body is feeling and excuse me, and prone to feeling some anxiety because of that. So I'm absolutely this type of person, okay? I feel like everyone in life has that one thing that maybe they stress about or maybe they're anxious about. Like some people are very stressed out about school, some people are very stressed out about work, some people are very stressed out about money. My main stressors in life tend to come from my physical well-being, okay, the way that I feel, the way that I'm sort of in tune with my body. And a lot of times if there are other things that stress me out, again, like school or work, one of the first things that happen to me is my body sort of starts reacting very negatively. I start getting very anxious, I'll start feeling aches and pains, and before I know it, I'm in the ER. And that's something that has happened to me many times in my life, okay? So I feel like the first incident of this, I can't quite remember where it was. For some reason, maybe when I went on a trip to Washington, D.C. with my family, but I think it happened before this, is I was having a really big bowl of pasta, and I felt what was, or what is, heartburn. And I remember for some reason, I feel like this kind of triggered the hypochondriac in me, because after that, I just feel like any weird thing I feel in my body, I'd immediately freak out. So one of the most, let's say, common occurrences of this was in high school, where I would just be in class, sitting down normally, like truly nothing going on, and all of a sudden I would feel like I couldn't breathe, okay? And I would call my dad. I'll say, hey dad, I feel like I can't breathe, I need to go to the hospital. And of course, what would happen when I go to the hospital? Nothing. Everything would check out, everything would be completely fine. But I truly believe that I was like dying. And especially me feeling like I couldn't breathe happened various times throughout high school. I mean, so much so that my parents just know me by now. And if anything's ever wrong and I want to talk to them, they say, hey man, it's just in your head. And literally 100% of the time it is. Okay? I'm the type of person that I feel something in my chest. Oh, that's it. I can't breathe. I start panicking. I go into full like freak out mode, and I will go to the ER. I mean, I have been to the ER multiple times. I've been to the ER more than anyone that I know, and every single time I get out of the ER, everything is fine. And I'm talking about like just 2 weeks ago. Okay, I have been feeling some like pains in my chest, especially like near my heart, and so I went to the urgent care. Okay, I go to the urgent care. They do the whatever amount of work they can, and they say everything's fine, but to do more you got to go to the emergency room. So I drove 45 minutes south to an emergency room, because in that area there were no emergency rooms for Baptist. So I like going to Baptist Health in South Florida. I had to travel further south to go to the emergency room. I did a whole thing, the EKG, the chest x-rays, the blood work, all that good stuff. Came out fine. And it just goes to show that people like me that freak out for the simplest things will go to the ER for that peace of mind. And until we hear doctors say you're fine, we won't stop thinking about it. And then after that, you're good for like a couple of months, maybe even years, before you have an episode again. All right? Now, I almost feel like being a hypochondriac is sort of a defense mechanism, because suppose one day there is something wrong, right? I know there are people, I've read statistics, I've heard statistics of people that really barely get any of their blood work done, okay? Sometimes they'll go years without having their routine physical or get a blood work panel done. And maybe it's kind of good that I feel this way, because more often than not, I'm doing blood work like 3 times a year. So if anything, it might be good that I'm kind of so hyper aware of the way that I feel, because I've read stories like on Reddit, for example, of people that have these so-called minor aches and pains or dull aches in their chest area, maybe their lower back, and it sort of, and I think especially for men, we tend to feel these things and we don't really, oh, it'll pass, like, it'll be fine. But it turns out to be some form of cancer, something like this, right? It turns out to be something wrong. Now, the only thing that has actually come out of these ER visits for me specifically has been dehydration. Believe it or not, every single time I go, not every single time, but there's a non-0% chance that when I go, one of the reasons that I was feeling the way I was feeling is because dehydration. And even though I try to drink as much water as I can, I truly try to stay dehydrated, or not dehydrated, I try to stay hydrated. It turns out that it's not enough. I have this sort of plan that I came up with. In one of my earlier videos, I talk about sort of health hacks that you can do for people that work 9 to 5 jobs. One of those is being very intentional about the amount of water you drink. My plan revolves around doing 2 cups before lunch, 1 cup during lunch, 2 cups after lunch, because I feel that just gives me so much time to get at least 5 cups in, and I feel like that's a great starting point for most of us. So try that out if you haven't. And if you need to scale down, you can just do 1 cup before lunch, 1 cup during lunch, 1 cup after lunch. But man, it really has shown me that when you're dehydrated, so many different things could be going on in your body, and you just, you need that hydration to feel good. So that's a very important thing that I took away. But going back to the hypochondriac thing, I mean, some other ways that this manifests are, I don't like being touched on the head. Like sometimes my dad will come to me and kind of like pat my head when he says hi. And I literally feel like if he does that, I'm gonna have a concussion. I'm gonna have like some stroke, or something's gonna happen. It's somehow gonna kick off some form of cancer. Like, these are truly the thoughts that happen in my head. And I don't even know if my dad knows this. So Dad, if you're watching, that's truly what I feel. I tell my brother all the time. Like, he'll do sometimes that, and I'll say, hey man, just don't touch my head. Or like, if my head just taps something, like if I'm walking somewhere, sometimes I'll get in the car and my head taps the car on the way in, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's it, I'm done. And I'll start freaking out, and I'll truly start feeling like I'm forgetting things, or I have a pain and I'm like, oh man, that was it, that was the catalyst, I hit my head and that's it, and nothing happens. Okay, or if I get banged up anywhere in my body, or if I feel the smallest thing, go to the ER, go to the urgent care. I don't really take medicine. That's something I don't really, let's say, believe in. I only take medicine if it's absolutely necessary. I truly feel that your body can handle, so many different ailments, let's say, and God truly gave us a machine that is worthy of dealing with these stressors, right? And for me, the main remedy is going out for a walk and getting some sun. That generally helps. But the hypochondriac thing is real. So I'm so curious, if anyone is a hypochondriac, let me know in the comments, and let me know how it is that you deal with it. Is it something that impacts you on the day-to-day? Is it something that you generally have under control? My wife makes fun of me because she says, man, I wish I had that stress, right? She has other things that she worries about, but she's like, I wish I worried about my body, because at least, I don't know, you go to the emergency room, they tell you everything's fine, and that's it. You can just go back. Scanning in here. See some coworkers. It's always interesting to see some coworkers, because they might be thinking, why is this person recording in their car? It's kind of odd, but you got to do what you got to do in today's world. And this, again, is a way for me to get that creative outlet in for the day, and it's a nice way to start the morning, is I get to talk. But yeah, hypochondriac. I've never been so open about this before. I don't think it's really that crazy. I mean, we all have things that we, again, worry about or anxious about, and whether it's maybe being a hypochondriac, or, I don't know, worrying about the weather all the time or something. I'm not sure, but that's the biggest thing I worry about. And maybe in another video, I'll talk about my biggest fear. Okay? My biggest fear in the world is, I'll say it and then I'll explain. My biggest fear is cockroaches. Believe it or not, cockroaches are a massive fear that I have. And it's very bad. So I might talk about that in a separate video, but that's number one phobia, cockroaches. Again, maybe some people think, I wish I had that phobia. There's other things that I worry about, but cockroaches are not one of them. But for me, it's really, really bad. But being a hypochondriac, is it a defense mechanism? Is it good that I have this? Am I getting, is getting 5 blood work panels a year pretty good? Probably. I mean, I don't see anything too wrong with it. But there's definitely cases where it can impact my day, right? Here's something that could happen sometimes, and this is crazy. Sometimes I will turn my head too fast. I almost feel like I get like a whiplash sort of effect. And almost every single time this happens, again, I start feeding these thoughts into my head of, oh man, something's wrong with your neck. It's connected to your brain. You're feeling weird. You're forgetting things. And I promise you, if something like this happens in the morning, let's say I have like a fun day planned for myself, and I'm doing all these activities. I'm going to the beach maybe. I'm going to go, shopping, or maybe like I'm going to a theme park or something. If I turn my head at like 8 in the morning, I have that feeling will persist for the majority of the day. So it can sort of ruin my day for something that is almost certainly okay, right? I don't think anyone can turn their head fast enough to cause the same amount of whiplash that you might get in like a car accident, for example, where you generally hear about it. So I don't know, this world is fascinating. There's so many things that people worry about. You know, it's what makes us unique. In this case, I'm trying to see the positive in it. If you've seen my channel for any amount of time, you know that I generally try to give a positive spin to things. So maybe the hypochondriac in me is allowing for me to take more care of myself and be more aware of the way that I'm feeling. So if you have one of these things, try to see how you can spin it into maybe a superpower, okay? Because a lot of these things are kind of superpowers in disguise. And maybe the way that we label these things are what gets us to think negatively in the first place. But if we reframe them into something positive, then all of a sudden we've just gained a new ability. In my case, it's the ability to catch things before they get any worse and to always be aware of my body. So with that being said, I just got to work. Hope everyone watching has a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow for the next video. And with that, take care, everyone. Later.